Let's speak to Bright Simmons. Bright Simmons is with Imani, and he's a man who has been on this beat and has been digging out all the that we need to know and giving the caution that has to be given over the period. Yes, Bright Simmons, thank you very much. He's with Imani Africa. Yes, Bright Simmons, let's hear you. You have heard the Electoral Commission. Be on this table, on this show, they appear to show that all the claims that you have made against them are not justifiable, are not factual.
Hi, Samson. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me clearly?
Very clearly, sir.
Okay, so this EEC matter, it's very delicate and very elaborate. And it's very easy if you're not paying a lot of attention to the nuances, the facts, the details, to be convinced by performances. And what my good friend in the studio, well, he's not my friend, but what the good gentleman in the studio has just done is a performance. Look carefully at the dates and things like that, because as I proceed, you begin to see unraveling before your eyes this elaborate subterfuge that they've used to deceive Ghanaians for many years. Let's start with debunking a lot of the things he said right from the outset. This is the Civil Registration Center for Development. It's one of the world's leading think tanks that focuses on looking at elections in the world. And you were absolutely right when you pointed out to him that the cost of Ghana's elections have historically been very high. So if you think of, by 2016, for instance, the cost of elections in Ghana was about nearly 4 times the cost of elections in the UK. And that has been the case historically. What he does right now is absolutely and blatantly present falsehoods as facts by claiming, for instance, that the cost of elections in Ghana is $7.7. The cost of elections in 2020 was $7.7 per voter.
Right.
We've seen these lies all the time.
On the onset, may I say that you don't say he's presenting falsehoods as facts, but present your facts as you know them and allow us to judge, because he backs what he says. He backs what he says with documents. Okay, go ahead.
He was commenting on my work and he did say, so this is primarily the way he would like to proceed. The $7.7 that he uses, if you go and look at the records in the Ministry of Finance, the Parliament, etc., that are public records, you will see how much money we spent in total in 2020 as 1.363 billion cedis. You can compare what we spent years before when we had no elections, and you can then subtract, as they do, to establish how much exactly we spent because of the elections. So what I'm saying is that it's very simple. You take the years before we had elections, say 2019, 2018, etc. Then you get to 2020 when we have elections. You look at the difference in terms of the budget amount allocated to the EC. When you get that number, it's about almost 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. Then you divide it by the total number of registered voters for that election, and you strike an average, you get $12.5, not $7.7. This is the highest we've ever seen, and one of the highest in the world. So when they tell you it's $7.7, either you can do the math yourself, as we've explained our methodology, or you take their word at face value. The problem in this country is that we don't have enough people, enough institutions, enough organizations that are willing to go through the fact-checking process and hold these institutions to account. So they just say anything and they get away with it. Number one. Now, to try and let us understand what is going on with the EC situation, you have to understand that the EC system is not one system. It's a number of different things. And Dr. Siribo has mentioned a number of them in the studio. You have the system that more or less organizes and manages everything. You can think of it as an elaborate enterprise resource platform. You have the data center, which is mentioned. You have a database, which typically holds biometric data and other types of data. You have the software that does the validation of the biometric. You have the BVDs and the BVRs. Most of what we'll be talking about today is the BVRs and the BVDs. The satellite infrastructure and all of those things, VSATs and things, we will not go into them because we have no time. The BVRs think of them as a system made up of laptops, scanners, and cameras, which together allow you to register a person. The BVDs think of them like a point of sale terminal, similar to what you use when you go and buy something with your credit card is very similar, but in this case, the validation is not for cards, it's for fingerprints and other biometric data. So these are the two main things we are discussing: the biometric verification devices and the biometric voter registration kits. Here is information that the EC released during the debate in 2020. Now, Dr. Shribo is in the studio. I put it to him that this claim that they made, that all the devices that they have all been from 2011, cannot be correct. In fact, in your studio today, he's already acknowledged that there are some devices that come from 2014 and 2015. Even in your studio today, this information that they released is available on the internet. Everybody can go and check it. They claim that the devices that are in use for elections in these countries, the BVDs and the BVRs in particular, they are purpose-built for the EC. That is, these are devices that only the EC can use, more or less. They are specified purposefully for EC functions, and they date from 2011. And that was the basis of how we got involved as Imani. A lot of people think that when we got involved, it was simply to try and stall the EC. That was not what happened. What happened that we saw these statements where they claim that all the devices are from 2011, and based on that, the system as a whole is obsolete, and we need to spend a lot of money to buy new ones. We then started to do our research, and it is an encountering data that is not correct. That led us to oppose the new register and the purchasing and procurement of the new system, and that led to this campaign in the first place. So keep that in mind. That is how Imani got involved. Imani had no issues with the EC until we saw this document. And that 2011 number, they used it until we exposed them, and then they stopped using it. They say the same also for the BVR. So they say both the BVD and the BVR, all of them have been in use since 2011. And this is fact that he cannot deny, because these are releases that they made themselves, and which he acknowledges and must acknowledge is complete lie. What led to our challenge was that we went in and we took a look at the records in Parliament, the records in the Ministry of Finance related to this matter. And these are matters that anybody can also go and check. We often call them program-based estimates, medium-term expenditure frameworks. These are what the agencies provide to the Ministry of Finance for you to use to project spending in the country. You saw that the letters that he was giving to you, all of them are from before May 2018. So that's how they played their tricks. Look at this document and look at the dates at which these purchases were conducted. You see that the BVR kits that were replaced, they happened in June of 2018 and October of 2019 in terms of the budgeting. But some of it is past years. So the past year purchases were 2,000 that were done in 2018. The BVRs are the laptops and those kind of things. You realize that these documents they show you, suggesting that the system was obsolete, was what led the EC in 2018, after those documents have been issued, to buy new kits. So this is the tricks that if you don't pay attention, you get confused. So look at the dates very carefully. You must realize that this EC was not in office. This current EC was not in office. The current commissioner and the key lieutenants were not in office. The current EC commissioner came to office in July of 2018. The documents was showing you were documents that the previous EC solicited in order to prove to Parliament that they needed more money to buy more equipment. So he collected those documents from vendors. Remember that vendors always want to sell more. So if vendors are not checked, they will always tell you the system, the device, it's better off if you buy fresh ones. Now it's a fact, right? So what she got those documents, she sent them to Parliament as part of her engagement with parliamentarians to prove that this country needed to buy new devices. Money was then released. Based on the monies that were released, began to buy new devices. But the truth of the matter is that if you go back, you will see that in 2016, for instance, we bought 500 DVRs, and the number there is not refurbishment, it's replaced. You also see that the dates are past years, which means this investment that had already been made. Why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because they make it look as if the BVDs all bought at the same time, the BVRs are bought at the same time, etc. That's not the truth. The truth is that we've been buying them in bits and pieces, 500 today, 2,000 today. So you see that this one that I showed those 2,000 kits. The total kits that they bought at one go was 8,500. Before the BVR, the laptops, let's just say the laptops, so everybody is not confused. The laptop that they bought in 2018, in that June, period. That was 2,000. And we had another one, 500, but in 2016. Two things are proven by these two documents. One being that not all the devices were bought in 2011 as the EC plate. The second fact is that they don't buy them all at once in the past. Because what they used to do is that when they find out that some are faulty, they replace them. The third critical fact is that the document that is shown to you that claimed that the BVDs and things like that were obsolete were in early 2018, and the EC that was then active, or rather in power or in office, used those documents to generate the basis on which Parliament has to give them more money to buy more devices.
What changes? What changes?
Right?
The fact that these documents had been prepared by the previous EC to Parliament to justify why there was a need for replacement, would they simply came and implemented? What's the problem?
You are confusing yourself. No, Samson. I'm saying that the devices, they are not one device. It's not like every time we went buy device at one time and all of them are bought at the same time. They are bought at different periods. So in your portfolio, think of it as a box, and you have different laptops in it. The laptops are bought at different times. So there are indeed some laptops that date from 2011 for the 2012 elections. And there are some laptops that you buy after that. And there are some laptops that you buy maybe 3 years ago. So when you look at the full set of laptops, not all of them will be obsolete. Some will be obsolete and you will replace them. So the latest that the EC boss then in before this new group came into office, those letters were in relation to some of the BVDs and BVDs. And that led to the basis on which Parliament gave them money to replace in 2018. Not the 2021. So don't get confused.
All right, but how about this? Because forgive me, because these are technical issues and you clearly appear to know them far better than I can appreciate. But you said in your statement, you charged the EC that they had failed to follow due process or lawful processes in the auction of the obsolete machines. The evidence I am looking at right now on this table shows the contrary.
Step by step. No. I'm now explaining the procurement issues. I'm explaining to you that the documents that he just read in the studio are meaningless because you have to follow the timeline. And you have to understand the way the portfolio of the EC is constructed. It's not like 2011, they were buy 7,000. And then the next year, they replaced all of them. That's how it works.
Yeah, your suggestion was that somebody wanted to benefit from procurement because this is how things are done in this country. And we see documentation that shows that they got expert advice to dispose of the equipment and that they were obsolete. You had also said that refurbishment would be less expensive. The documentation shows that new BVRs will rather be less expensive.
No, I'm explaining to you that everything he read to you is meaningless because of distance so fast. And that's what I'm explaining. He read to you documents from January 2018 and May 2018, written by the previous EC, written to the previous EC by vendors of the equipment, suggesting that the equipment were end of life cycle. I'm trying to explain to you that that is not for every single device that was there because the EC had bought some just the year before. And I showed you documents that showed here. In 2018, about 500 devices. So in 2016, they bought 500 devices. So if the EC, the vendor is writing to you that some of them are end of life cycle, that cannot apply to those devices. So essentially, they buy them at different periods. You understand the point? The second point is that, so if some of them are obsolete, you replace them. And the EC got the money from Parliament to replace them before these new guys came in. These new officers came into office.
Okay.
That is the point. So that explains the letters. Okay. Now, having explained the letters, we go to the Auditor General.
Right. We have very limited time. We have very limited time. So if you can
end on the procurement points on whether or not the BVDs are obsolete. Because everything we are going to say anchors on whether or not the devices are obsolete. So here is evidence that comes from the Auditor General that show you the days in which payments were made. So supply of biometric registration kits. This was in 2016, February 2016. How much did we spend on them? $4.3 million. You are telling me that BVR kits bought in 2016 in February at $4.3 million in 2018 becomes obsolete? That cannot be the case. There are several of them here, preparation, etc. The final payment, 19th May 2016. Final payment of biometric voter registration kits components, $2.1 million. In 2016, we spent $2.something million, $4.7 million to buy laptops. And in 2018, all of them become obsolete. What you are claiming? Secondly, we also have records from the exchanges between the EC and the parliamentary committee, where they convinced them to give them money to buy 5,000 new BVR kits, in addition to the 7,500 that they refurbished in 2016 and 5,000 new BVDs. So when we read those documents, it's clear that as of 2018, they were actually trying to convince Parliament to release money to buy new devices, and these monies were released based on that they bought new devices in 2018. As for the record, so the three arguments you can make is that somehow all these submissions to the Ministry of Finance, Auditor General, and the rest are lies. If that is proven, we'll retract.
Okay.
But unless that fact is proven, the documents are absolutely clear.
All right.
2014, 2015 alone, they purchased 40,000 BVDs. So that's essentially the problem.
Okay.
That cannot be in any way claimed.
All right.
To the issue and favor rates.
Okay, Brighter, I'm sorry, but we just have run out of time at this point.